Alright everyone, welcome back. We are working on the charger again in this video. Can't remember exactly where I left off in the last video or if I have any footage, but just to kind of fill you guys in, we sanded this all down to bare metal. Basically got it as straight as we could with just sanding. Put body filler on it, or metal glaze I should say. We metal glazed everything flat and smooth because there's a lot of imperfections in it. And then all the bare metal areas we hit it with an acid etch primer just to help it. It's just an adhesion promoter for the 2K primer that's on it now, and then we hit it with one thick layer of 2K, and now we're sanding it down before we put more coats on it. So it went from looking like that to this right here, and the reason we do only one coat is because when we're sanding it, you can actually see the high and the low spots, as opposed to having, if you do 2 to 3 heavy coats or 2 to 3 light coats, and then you sand this down, you have to put 2 to 3 more light coats. And then you're going to have more build up here than over here, which is going to be a lot of product once you paint it. And the way we're sanding it is with a mixing stick, and it's just hard that way. You can use these blocks right here, but you don't really need them. So we use the mixing stick, and you can kind of see where it's cutting and where it's not. So we're just going to sand this down all flat and then hit it with 2 to 3 more coats, but we're going to just kind of fix all the small imperfections, and then I'll catch you guys once we put 2 more coats on it, or right before we start spraying. All right, now that we got everything sanded down, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. We have like a few thousandths of product on here. There's really just nothing left. It's just like a very thin coat. And as you guys have seen in the last video, everything was bare metal. It's not like we're trying to chase any imperfections, or they're just factory imperfections. It's not like something's been cut and then welded back on. This is a true factory car. So all this is all original. We're just chasing the factory defects from 1968. And as you can see, everything is prepped and ready for another 2 to 3 coats of primer. We're going to go ahead and spray that, and I'll show you guys what it looks like afterwards. We went ahead and got this whole thing primed, and I mean, you guys can see exactly why we did what we did. There's not a single spot on this thing that I'm unhappy with, or my dad. I mean, it came out absolutely perfect. We are going to let this dry for about a week or so from the point of recording this. We're going to sand it down lightly and then let it sit for another week or 2 before we go ahead and spray some color on it. And then once we spray some color on it, coming back into the 68 Charger, this is about 3 weeks later. We already sanded it down lightly about a week and a half ago. And now we've went ahead and wet sanded this with an 800 and then a gray scuff. As you can see, we got darker patches of primer here and there. That's just to fix where we ate through the primer. But this stuff is super smooth. We are laying down a metallic paint. You want to make sure you get this as smooth as possible, so you're not actually seeing any scratch marks through the paint once it's done. We're going to go ahead and mask this up and pretty much spray the color and clear on it. And if you guys are doing a project similar to this is a great can primer. I wouldn't recommend spraying this on the entire job, but whenever you do eat through, this stuff is really good. It is a body shop grade primer. It's not something you can just get from your local auto parts store. It is mixed per can. It's just a really nice thing, and I'll see you guys once we get this all masked up and show you guys what that looks like there. What is going on? Decided to pick up the camera. Kind of been lacking on it, just kind of between forgetting and not having it charged. We got everything painted. As you can see, came out absolutely amazing. We're slowly kind of getting the wires done. We are waiting on some loom for this. We're doing mesh loom on everything. So we're just gonna rewrap everything. One thing we are adding to the car, besides like the K-member and all that big overhaul, we are gonna be adding an MSD 2-step. So I'll show you guys how to wire that in. It's pretty simple. I looked up a few wiring diagrams. You just tap one of the wires off your MSD, then 12-volt switched ignition. But I'm not going to get into that. Kind of just wanted to pick up the camera to show the engine bay being painted. We do have the new K-member. This is the old one. As you can see, it's the gearbox style with pitman arms, and it has shocks instead of springs and shocks for like your coilover design. This is where the coilover would sit. This is the new K-member. As you can see, it is rack and pinion. It does need a different oil pan. We are fabbing up a custom oil pan for it. This is where the motor mount sits, slightly different. The whole setup is just very slightly different, but very different in a few different ways. But this is pretty much it for the most part. We're gonna go ahead and kind of just get some off-camera stuff wired up, and then pretty much start bolting everything together. This will probably be wrapping up this part, so it'll probably be 3 parts. It was getting it prepped for paint, getting this painted, that would be the second part, and then reassembling would be the third part. So we are getting this wiring harness wrapped up. This is pretty much as far as we're gonna go until the motor goes in. Everything else is pretty much just reliant on the motor. Waiting on the battery tray for the motor because we might have clearance issues. But this is pretty much it for as far as this video is gonna go. This might not even go in the video, not 100% sure, because I think I might have closed it off with another clip. But just to wrap up what we did, we masked the car off, we primed it, we painted it, we cleared it, we ran wires, just kind of cleaned everything up. So next step would be to bolt the new K-member in, which will have rack and pinion steering. I'll show you the modifications that are being done to the oil pan and the engine when we get those back. Might have to do some modification with how it mounts up to the actual column itself. Not 100% sure, but it's just going to be kind of trial at this point and see what it's going to need and what it's not going to need. But I'm pretty sure that should be fine. But as far as everything goes, that's wrapping up this video. I appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure to leave a comment down below what you thought of it, and make sure to subscribe and like, and I'll see you in the next one.